First, let's bring in attorney Deron Smallcomb. He's our go-to legal advisor here. Deron, you're also fully licensed to practice in the federal courts. What will happen this morning when Comey is expected to be indicted?
Well, he's going to go in for the arraignment itself, and he's going to have to turn himself in. Now, whether they are going to arrest him or not, well, that remains to be seen. It's pretty unlikely because it looks like the case has now been assigned to a Judge Nachmanoff in the Eastern District of Virginia. He is a Biden appointee. And so this may throw a wrinkle into the plans. Obviously, we like to think that justice is blind, but sometimes biases do creep in. And we'll see how that plays out. So the first part's already happened at this point, is that he has been indicted. The Department of Justice brought 3 charges to the grand jury, and the grand jury returned 2 of them and threw one of them out, 2 of them saying that there's been a false statement that was made to Congress, and that false statement in and of itself was obstruction of justice. Each of those counts carries 5 years potentially of prison time if convicted. And so, as you asked, the first part here is the indictments that's happened, and now we have the surrender and the arraignment, which is scheduled for October 9th at this point. And once that happens, then there is going to be a process called discovery and pretrial. And so each side is going to exchange the evidence. They're going to file their motions. They're going to try to obviously dismiss the charge from the beginning before you get to the next stage, which is going to be the trial itself.
Can we just back up a little bit to how unusual this is, that a president of the United States asks for something on social media and the DOJ, after an attorney quits because he didn't see a case, and then inputs a new one that tries that case? Just how unusual this is.
Well, the social media aspect is certainly unusual. I'm not sure if the message that he wrote there was intended to be a direct message. Yeah, publicly, very much so. I'm not sure if he meant to DM Pam Bondi with that message, or whether he intended to be public with it. But nonetheless, it went out there that Trump certainly wanted Comey prosecuted before the statute of limitations came up, which was, I believe, 4 or 5 days from now. And so time was of the essence to either do something or not at all.
I'm curious why they keep saying, why we're hearing the headlines say unprecedented. I mean, the Biden DOJ did almost this exact same thing to President Trump. He was indicted on 37 counts, all of it appearing to be directed by the White House. And obviously, this is something that Trump promised to do, which was exact revenge for being dragged into that situation when he was not in power.
Certainly, it's not unprecedented in that aspect. With regards to the social media, yes, but the short phrase that's been going around social media now from everybody on the right is "no one is above the law." Those simple 6 words were the same words that were used by everyone on the left for years for all the indictments against Trump and his circle. Around 20 people had indictments during the last 5 years from the last Department of Justice. So it's not unprecedented in that aspect. This is, as they say, turnabout is fair play. Whether it's good for the country or not, that remains to be seen. And whether there's merit to the case or not, certainly will be flushed out in a court of law.
This is the federal government has a pretty good record on this type of charges. Why is that? What do they need to prove? What would you expect in terms of a defense, which also could be difficult?
Well, they need to prove that, of course, that he made a statement, which he did, and that it was false. And they allege that it was, in fact, false, that he knew it was false. That's a material element, and that's likely what's going to be a big part of the defense. But that statement itself materially influenced the government, and it was made within the federal jurisdiction, which, of course, it was. It was done during a Senate Judiciary Committee. And the second aspect, which is the obstruction charge, they need to prove that statement basically stopped the investigation into the leaks so that it materially affected the investigation itself. And so the government is trying to prove those things. And of course, Comey will defend himself that more than likely his defense, if I were his attorney, would be that he didn't intend to deceive, that he answered to the best of his knowledge at the time, and that maybe if he did make a mistake or misspeak, that it was immaterial. It didn't affect any sort of investigation in the big picture, and that will likely be how he'll present himself.
Real quickly, Lindsay Halligan, who's bringing this case, has never tried a single case. How unusual is that?
For a case of this high profile, it's a little
Yeah.
bit unusual. I mean, everybody needs to get their start somewhere. I remember my first day in court, but at the same time, you would think if you're prosecuting the former director of the FBI, they would probably have one of their top guns doing it.
All right. Well, we will,
Yes.
I'm sure, be talking about this a lot in the future. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.